Welcome to the channel The Active Heart. First question that may arise is, why active heart? Why should could a heart be active? Nowadays we have interesting times. The speed of life seems to be increased compared to just a few decades ago. We have access to greater amounts of information like ever before. If you, for example, think on social media, people spend hours on their phones, for example. And we also have an issue about isolation. We have the issue of disconnection from one's own emotions. I would call it pain avoidance. This was, of course, always a topic, but nowadays it might be increased because of the amount of distraction that is available. And finally, it's good to have a method or to find relaxation and also connection within one's own heart, connection to one's own feelings and thoughts, but also connections to other people, to your relatives, and so on. Then, of course, what could also be an issue is you can use your heart to improve your own world a little bit. And if you manage to improve your own world, you're also part of the bigger world. It might seem very small, but if you can improve your own world a little bit, it may have an influence, or it will have an influence also on your surroundings. So in this channel, I will touch on topics like habits, relationships, also stress resilience, and other things. And this will be a 4-week program, 4 weeks. In the first week, I will introduce to you the conscious breath. So in a minute, I will talk about reasons for meditation, but also about the conscious breath. Then the second week will be the rhythmic breath. Then the third week, the full breath, and then so-called meditation that is called the square breath, meditation or concentration practice. All of these things that I will introduce to you are based on the book Living from the Heart from Susanna and Puran Bair. It's a book describing methods of heart rhythm meditation. So basically what heart rhythm meditation is that you align your breath and your heartbeat in a meditation. And I will introduce to you just the easiest steps, the basic steps to get there. I want to also talk about further reasons why one should explore one's own heart, or why you may explore your own heart. And I will want to tell you a quote by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." So this is an interesting thought because many people, I don't know if you also have this, in previous times before I started with meditation, it could be that I had a direct response to any stimulus. Say someone did something or something happened, and immediately I had a reaction, and also could be a destructive reaction to something. But the interesting concept of meditation, of heart rhythm meditation too, is that you can have some kind of space, some kind of inner space that you can work on, where you can take in these stimulus or the stimuli and work around them, work with them, and have insights about them. And then you can choose, you can have a much better reaction on that. So this was a quote by Viktor Frankl. And there's also a second interesting quote. This time it's from Carl Jung. And he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. It will direct your life and you will call it fate. So this is interesting too, because it makes one aware that most of the things that control our life, that leads us in a certain direction, are actually unconscious. So meditation, heart rhythm meditation, also helps you to make the unconscious conscious, which helps you then again to have more insight and more power in your life. So to summarize briefly the benefits you can make by using the meditation, you can make unconscious thoughts and feelings conscious. You can allow yourself to filter and process thoughts and emotions. You can find deep relaxation. And moreover, you can find patterns in your life and then change them, because when you think of a situation, usually it's not singular. It's usually a pattern that you may have. There may be underlying causes, and using meditation, you can investigate also the cause behind the cause. And it helps you to find deeper, better reactions to things that arise in your life. So the first meditation or the first concentration practice that I want to introduce to you is the conscious breath. And I will just now explain a little bit the steps of the conscious breath. So the first thing is you need to have a chair, preferably in a quiet and calm place where you can sit for a few minutes without being disturbed, if possible. Of course, it's also helpful to have a certain time, maybe early in the morning is an option, or also late in the evening. I prefer early in the morning to late in the evening, because in the morning it's also good to set a rhythm for the day. It's very good to set an intention and a rhythm for the day, and you start in your day in a good way. Then you sit upright on the chair. It's especially important that your knees are bent 90 degrees or more. So this means it's better to have the knees like this than to have it like this, because if you have your knees, as if you sit lower than your knees are, it might later inhibit the movement of your stomach, of your belly, that you will need for later full breath. For example, where you use stomach breath or belly breath, for example. So if you're a tall person, you may need, or you may use a pillow to sit a little bit higher, or to sit at least as high as your knees are. Then your feet are firmly on the ground, your spine is straight, you close your eyes, and you observe your breathing patterns. So the conscious breath is actually about observing your breathing patterns. So how long is your in-breath? How long is your out-breath? Do you make pauses in between? For example, after inhalation or after exhalation? Do you breathe more through the nose or more through the mouth? That's more or less the main steps. Also the depth of your breath. This means how deep are you breathing naturally. So with the conscious breath, we don't interfere with the breath. We just observe our breathing patterns. We don't do anything else. And then, of course, when you sit like this in a meditation, feelings arise. Your feelings arise. You may feel sensations in your body. Like, for example, somewhere you might have a pleasant sensation, somewhere else maybe there could also be a little bit of pain. It's possible. And then, of course, a lot of thoughts arise, and it's interesting to observe the thoughts, to watch them, and to look also for patterns that may be within your thoughts. So that's basically the practice. And if you do this for some time, like for example, for 1 week, also 1 week of conscious breath, for example, then 1 week of rhythmic breath and so on, it's really helpful to establish this regular practice. So how do you establish it? As I said, it's helpful to set a specific time for that. Could be early in the morning or late in the evening, or you could also have it in between to some time. It's just helpful or recommendable to have a specific time for that kind of practice. The best way to start a habit according to Atomic Habits is actually to really use a short period of time, like for example 2 minutes, which is very little, but helps you to get into this practice at the beginning. Actually, what really would be helpful would be in time to increase it to, for example, 20 minutes of meditation. And the reason is the posture, also what I described at the beginning, the posture where you sit like this with a straight spine, the feet firmly on the ground, and you don't lean back to your chair. If you stay in such a position with this upright spine, which is not supported by the chair, just a free spine, when you do this and you don't move, and you put your hands on your thighs, for example, so firmly on the thighs, either with the palms downward or upward, actually after 20 minutes, after 10 to 20 minutes, you find that you get way deeper into the meditative state or into this state of concentration. So that's why I recommend actually 20 minutes of meditation. But for the beginning, this is really hard, so I would recommend to start with the 2 minutes, maybe later increase it to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and maybe if you want to, you can go to 20 minutes too.